If you guys are interested in being a member, then click the join button down below to check out the available perks. The first tier is only $1. Thank you to those of you who choose to join. What's up, Mod Squad? Welcome to another Division 2 build breakdown video. Before we get into the video, if you're already subscribed to me, then don't forget to smash that like button, as it really helps push our videos into the recommended section, which in turn helps this channel grow. Interaction is a big part on what helps us in YouTube algorithm, and the extra support is very much appreciated. In today's video, we're going to be looking at one of the weapons within the Division 2 that received a pretty nice buff in the latest update. So within the Project Resolve update, there were a variety of improvements to a lot of weapons as well as gear. But this is a buff I was extremely happy to see, as this weapon, this assault rifle, has been a favourite of mine for a while. That assault rifle being the F2000. Now the F2000 assault rifle received two big changes, one being plus 50% RPM, taking it from 850 to 900 RPM, and the other change was adding 10 rounds to the magazine size, so it is now a 60 round mag, which is great because this weapon is missing an attachment, so this more than makes up for it. This AR was a joy to use before the update, and it's only got way better now, especially when you pair it with one of the hardest hitting gear sets in the game, the Heartbreaker gear set. The F2000 already has great weapon handling, but pairing it with the Heartbreaker gear set makes it a total laser beam, thanks to the extra 15% weapon handling. Today I'll showcase an easy to make DPS build for those of you who are returning to the game. This build will be easy to farm for, put together, and isn't relying on exotics, meaning the mask can be swapped out for a Grupo. Without added buffs from Vindictive or Finisher, you can hit 1.1 million crits to the head of NPCs and 900k crits to the body. With Finisher and Vindictive active, you can hit 1.3 million to the head and 1 million to the body. Now for those of you who may have been away for a good while, in TU15 we got the new Heartbreaker gear set, which is an assault rifle LMG based gear set that provides not only high damage but high survivability as well, depending on how you build it. This gear set along with Hunter's Fury is what I'd highly recommend for those of you getting back into the game. This current version of the build is for those of you who like to sit back and cover, but this can be easily changed into more of an up close run and gun build with a change of core attributes, going from red to blue. For those of you who are interested in more of a run and gun version of this build, I'll drop some links to those builds in the description and comment section below. Keeping stacks active with this build isn't too difficult once you get them. To gain the stacks as fast as possible, I'd recommend as always a shotgun, preferably the ACS-12 with the Vindictive talent. Max stacks will give you 50% bonus armor and 50% damage to pulse enemies. Pulsing enemies is pretty easy as it only requires a single headshot to pulse the enemy for 5 seconds. Or you can use the Banshee pulse, which you gain from the gunner specialization. Now with the Heartbreaker gear set allowing you to build bonus armor on a pulsed enemy, it's very easy to keep the Vigilance talent active more often than not, making this a great replacement for the Exotic Memento backpack, which is what I'd suggest for the best in slot for solo players. But if you are struggling to survive, you can switch Vigilance out for Bloodsucker, as this build hits hard enough without it. Back to the F2000 now, and this is no FAMAS, but it's a lot easier to handle and is great for up close and long range engagements. So if you're a player that struggles with recoil, even though this build's packed full of weapon handling, then this assault rifle is a weapon for you. One of the reasons I highly recommend this weapon is there's no big initial kick to it, and it makes hitting headshots to gain your pulse super easy. This build is perfect for all heroic content, whether that's control points, bounties or the summit, and is a great build to use for the countdown game mode, which is where I recommend farming for new gear. This build can either be used solo or in a squad and is a lot of fun to use. Now we have spoken a little bit about the build and I'll showcase some of what it's capable of, let's get into a quick build breakdown. You want to use the gunner specialization. This is because it really suits the playstyle, it adds a lot of utility to the build and DPS. You have the right throwing grenade, which is going to apply a status effect. This is going to help you proc your Vindictive talent if you don't have your Banshee pulse up. Now talking about the Banshee pulse, it is a big part of this build, especially if you want to be stacking Vindictive and Finisher together to add all the extra critical hit damage. This is a great skill for close combat, so definitely recommend it for a run and gun build. This specialization also makes it so that every third reload is 50% faster. The armor kit gives you 100% armor back plus 30% bonus armor for 10 seconds. You generate 10% of total ammo capacity every 60 seconds, party members recover 5, so not only are you gaining but your teammates as well. One of my favourite things about the gunner specialisation is that the rate of fire is increased by 5% on kill for 5 seconds, so you can just continuously chain kills as it's a run and gun build and keep that extra 5% RPM active. And if you do choose to stop and sit in cover for any reason, you can gain 10% weapon handling while not moving, need to be motionless for 1 second. This is going to help you get those long range kills as well. And that is pretty much it for the specialisation, guys. So with that said, let's get into the build breakdown. For those of you returning, welcome back to TU20. Our primary weapon is the F2000. I haven't fully optimized it yet. As you can see, the talent we are using is Flatline. Amplifies weapon damage by 15% to pulse enemies. We're using this because we're using the Heartbreaker gear set, which requires us to pulse enemies to gain weapon damage and armor stacks. After 4 kills, applies a pulse to the next enemy you hit. The attachments we have is 5% crit chance on the scope, 5% crit chance on the muzzle brake, and the magazine gives us the extra 20 rounds. So this assault rifle now has a 60 round magazine, and as you can see we have 900 RPM. This weapon also beams with the striker gear set. Moving on to our secondary, we had the ACS-12. All maxed out stats, damage to targets out of cover, and we had the vindictive talent. Killing an enemy with a status effect applied grants you and your allies within 15 meters 15% critical hit chance and 15% critical hit damage for 20 seconds. Attachments are 5% weapon handling on the sight, and the grip gives us 10% accuracy. The sidearm, as always, is the Orbit pistol, giving us the perfect finisher talent. Swapping from this weapon within 10 seconds of killing an enemy grants 35% critical hit chance and 40% critical hit damage for 15 seconds. The attachments are 20% reload speed on the drum and 10% accuracy on the sight. Moving on to our gear now, guys, and we're starting off with the Coyote's mask. If you do not have the Coyote's mask, you can switch it out for our Grupo. As you can see, 15% weapon damage, 6% crit chance, 12% critical hit damage, and then 12% critical hit damage via a mod. And then we have the Pack Instincts talent. So this is great for solo play or team play, and is a great piece of gear to run if you're playing Countdown. Moving on to the chest piece with the Heartbreaker chest piece. Gives us 15% weapon damage, 11.4% critical hit damage, and 12% critical hit damage via a mod. And then we have the Max BPM talent. Increases match stacks from Heartstopper from 50 to 100. Our holster is a Heartbreaker holster, 15% weapon damage and 12% critical hit damage. We have Heartbreaker knee pads with 15% weapon damage and 12% critical hit damage. The gloves are Heartbreaker gloves with 15% weapon damage and 6% crit chance. And finally we have a Seska backpack, which gives us 10% critical hit chance, 15% weapon damage, 6% crit chance, 12% critical hit damage, 12% critical hit damage via a mod. And then we have the Vigilance talent, which increases total weapon damage by 25%. Taking damage disables this buff for 4 seconds. Now if you have bonus armor active, when you take damage while having bonus armor, it will not disable this talent. Only when your white armor is damaged will it disable this talent. And for those of you who are struggling to survive with the Vigilance talent, you can switch this out for Bloodsucker, which is killing an enemy adds and refreshes a stack of plus 10% bonus armor for 10 seconds. Max stack is 10, so you can get up to 100% bonus armor for each and every kill. Moving on to the skills now, guys, we had the shield. Of course, it's not going to give us much health, and you can use a striker drone to serve as a distraction or a decoy, but just in case we get up close, it's nice to have the shield. We have 4.9% shield health, 4.6% shield health, and then 5% damage bonus, which doesn't apply because we're not using the firewall specialization. And of course we have the Banshee pulse. Again, this is just for when they get up close or to stun initial enemies to gain our Heartbreaker stacks real quick and then gain that Vindictive talent. So we both have our armor stacks, damage stacks, and extra damage from the Vindictive talent. We have 15% radius on here and 15% effect duration. Moving on to the stat sheet now, guys. I'm not going to talk through it, but as you can see, 48% critical hit chance. The rest of that crit chance will be made up by both the Coyote's mask, the Vindictive talent, or the Finisher talent on our sidearm. 140% critical hit damage, and you can stack both Finisher and Vindictive together to gain around another 55% critical hit damage. So guys, let me know what you think about the new buffs to the F2000 in the comment section below. I am loving this gun, especially loving it with the striker set as well. Next video could possibly be on the buffs to the Eagle Bearer, because the Eagle Bearer is absolutely slapping right now. Again guys, let me know what you think about this weapon down in the comment section below. It's great to be back. Don't forget to smash that like button, help us reach that 500 like goal that we never miss here on the channel. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. Share this video around on all social media, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out, Mob Squad.